Hello, Kentucky. Is Mark Pope really on thin ice? Some say with a noose around his neck. Is the team a problem, or is Pope part of the problem? This start has been difficult. Let's see what's new. But first, subscribe to the channel. The question has been circulating strongly in hallways, social media, and quiet conversations at Rupp Arena. Is Mark Pope really on thin ice? For some, the tone is even heavier, almost definitive. For others, it's an emotional reaction to a season start that completely deviates from the historical pattern of Kentucky basketball. The fact is that the loss to Missouri wasn't just another negative result. It amplified the feeling that something is out of place, both on and off the court. The 0-2 start in the SEC, something that hadn't happened in years, exposed weaknesses that had already been discussed. Losing the home opener in the conference for the first time since 2013 raised a red flag that's hard to ignore. The offense has been sluggish, predictable, and at times uncomfortable to watch. The defense, far from compensating for these flaws, also doesn't offer the necessary solidity to sustain the team on bad nights. And the rotations, a recurring issue, continue to be seen as a point of tension between the coaching staff and fans. Within this context, questioning Pope's position arises almost inevitably. Not because the coach is officially threatened, but because the standards in Lexington don't allow for long periods of stagnation. When the team doesn't win and, even worse, doesn't show clear signs of improvement, even in victories, the pressure shifts from just results to targeting the leadership of the project. Even so, reducing the scenario to an immediate judgment would be to ignore important nuances. Mark Pope, at least at this moment, is hardly in a noose around his neck in the literal sense of the expression. The program won't make rash decisions without facing an obvious and irreversible collapse. However, this doesn't mean the alarm bells aren't ringing. What we see on the court fuels the perception that this roster, if it doesn't react quickly, could enter a dangerous spiral, especially in a conference that punishes any sign of weakness. The doubt that is beginning to take shape is deeper than simply winning or losing games. It's about identity. The team hasn't yet clearly shown what it wants to be, nor how it intends to compete consistently. This naturally raises the discussion about responsibilities. To what extent is the problem the roster? And to what extent is it Pope's decisions? It's a fine line, but inevitable to draw when execution, rhythm, and offensive organization repeatedly fail. At the same time, it's necessary to acknowledge that Pope hasn't shied away from the moment. He has been transparent in talking about the difficulties, acknowledging frustrations, and pointing out flaws without shifting blame. This kind of attitude, in an environment as volatile as Kentucky's, counts. It doesn't change the score, but it reinforces the idea that there's still control of the locker room and conviction in the work being done. The current discomfort, therefore, isn't just about Mark Pope's continued presence, but about the direction of the project. The fear that many fans had, whether he was, in fact, the right choice to lead the program, gained strength with this uneven start. Today, the emotional response tends to be negative. The rational response, however, still calls for caution. There's a significant difference between a disappointing start and a structural failure. Kentucky is experiencing a moment of maximum pressure, as it always has. Pope hasn't lost control of the narrative yet, but the margin for error is rapidly decreasing. The next answers will have to come on the court with clear adjustments and signs of evolution that go beyond mere effort. Until then, the question will continue to echo among the BBN. Is the problem the team, or is Mark Pope part of it? The season, and not just one game, will provide that answer. Kentucky's collapse against Missouri not only exposed the weaknesses of a team in development, but also ignited a fervent debate on social media. And as always happens in the most tense moments of college sports, Mark Pope and Mitch Barnhart are at the center of the storm. For many fans and critics, the 73-68 loss was more than just a home defeat. It was a symbol of supposedly flawed management and a coaching position called into question. On Twitter, where opinions quickly transform into hashtags and virtual lynchings, the names of Pope and Barnhart became easy targets. For some, Coach Mark Pope is seen as incapable of molding this talented roster into a cohesive and competitive team. Tactical choices, especially in the final minutes, were pointed to as evidence of his supposed inadequacy in leading a program with the pressure and tradition of Kentucky basketball. Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director, faces criticism for decisions dating back to the hiring of Pope and for the lack of a clear plan to rebuild the program's prestige after years of ups and downs. But is it fair to reduce all this turbulence to two men? Current college basketball is immersed in complex dynamics. The entry of the NIL, NCAA regulatory changes, and increasing competitiveness among traditional programs have created a scenario where maintaining balance is a Herculean task. Kentucky, historically a powerhouse, now faces challenges that go beyond the court. Attracting the best recruits, managing individual egos, and ensuring that the winning culture remains intact are daily battles that few manage to win completely. That said, there's no denying that the current moment is worrying. Losing to Missouri at home, especially after opening up an 8-point lead in the final minutes, is the kind of defeat that echoes for weeks, if not months. And it wasn't just a matter of bad luck or the opponent's merit. It was a self-inflicted collapse, marked by avoidable turnovers, glaring defensive failures, and questionable decisions. When you lead at Rupp Arena, especially in a game as crucial as this, closing out the game should be almost a reflex. However, what we saw was the exact opposite, a team that seemed lost, nervous, and unable to perform under pressure. And yet, even amidst the criticism, it's impossible to ignore the brilliance of Otega Oweh. He was, without a doubt, the most valuable player in the game, and perhaps it's unfair to blame Pope for something beyond his control. The reality that, in his final college season, Oweh is practically single-handedly carrying the hopes of a team that clearly needs more leaders by its side. His performance against Missouri was nothing short of heroic. 20 points, including 3 three-pointers, 5 rebounds, for assists, for steals, and even a spectacular shot of almost 24 meters of the buzzer in the first half. These numbers not only highlight his technical skill, but also his ability to elevate the team's level in the moments when it needs it most. It's sad to think that Oweh's final season in college basketball might be remembered as a waste, especially considering the caliber of player he is. He deserved to be on a better prepared team, with complementary pieces that could maximize his strengths and minimize the burden on his shoulders. Instead, he finds himself in a situation where he's forced to do more than he should, while trying to compensate for the collective shortcomings of a group still in formation. On the other hand, Missouri deserves credit. Winning at Rupp Arena, an unprecedented feat for the Tigers, proves they can be more dangerous than many predicted. Perhaps this loss serves as a reminder that underestimating any opponent in the SEC is a fatal mistake. But again, that doesn't lessen the devastating impact of this game for Kentucky. There's still a long way to go this season, and it would be premature to declare the end of Kentucky's NCAA tournament aspirations. However, the clock is ticking, and the margin for error is minimal. Each additional loss increases the pressure on Pope and Barnhart, further fueling the critical voices already calling for drastic changes. In moments like this, college basketball reveals its dual nature. It is both a sport of instant glory and a minefield of uncertainty. For Kentucky, the challenge now is to find ways to react, not just on the scoreboard, but in the mentality and organizational structure that underpins the program. Meanwhile, fans and critics will continue debating, tweeting, and speculating about the future of Mark Pope and Mitch Barnhart. Amidst significant changes in Kentucky's football program, one piece of news stands out as a point of stability and hope for Wildcats fans: the return of Jacob Cawe for the 2026 season. The kicker, who has already proven to be a fundamental piece in the team's special offense, returns at a crucial moment for the program, especially with the arrival of rookie coach Will Stein, whose strategic vision promises to shape the team's future in an innovative way. In a sport where details often define results, having a talent like Cawe on the team is more than an advantage. It's a necessity. The importance of a kicker cannot be underestimated, especially in close games or decisive moments, when every point seems to weigh a ton on the scoreboard. Cawe proved his worth in his first season. In 2025, converting 13 of 17 field goals and hitting all 32 extra points he was assigned. The accuracy of his kicks within critical distances, notably 6 out of 6 between 40 and 49 yards, is something few teams can claim in their ranks. Furthermore, his ability to confidently execute long kicks, including attempts of over 50 yards, offers Kentucky strategic flexibility that will be vital as the team seeks to restructure and compete in an increasingly challenging landscape. But what makes Cawe even more impressive is his journey to this point. Even before officially stepping onto the field as a college player, he had already drawn attention for his power and accuracy in training. Reports of consistent 60-yard kicks during practice began to circulate, raising expectations about the impact he could have in official games. And these skills didn't spring from nowhere. They were forged in harsh conditions in his hometown of Billings, Montana. Kicking in a state known for its biting winds and freezing temperatures demands not only physical strength, but also a resilient mindset, qualities Cawe clearly possesses. A viral video from his high school days, showing him kicking an incredible 75-yard field goal, cemented his reputation as a rare prodigy, capable of feats that seem straight out of a movie script. Cawe's return in 2026 takes on even greater significance when placed within the larger context of Kentucky's transition. With Will Stein taking the reins of the program, there's a palpable sense of rebuilding and renewal in the air. The new coach, known for his modern vision and meticulous approach, will certainly seek to build a cohesive identity for the team, combining tactical strategy and the development of young talent. In this scenario, having an experienced and reliable kicker like Cawe is a luxury few teams in transition can afford. He not only offers consistency in crucial moments, but also serves as a kind of emotional anchor for the team, ensuring that small mistakes don't turn into major defeats. Furthermore, Cawe's presence can help alleviate the pressure on Stein's new offense. Now that the coach is working to implement his offensive system, there will inevitably be adjustments and learning moments, especially for young or inexperienced players. Having a kicker who has never missed extra points and has a proven track record of efficiency from challenging distances allows the team to remain calm in high-tension situations. This is particularly important in games against strong opponents, where the margin for error is minimal and the ability to capitalize on opportunities can make all the difference. Jacob Cawe's return symbolizes something bigger than just a player returning to the roster. He represents continuity in a period of change, a connection to the recent past as Kentucky moves toward the future. His journey, from the icy fields of Montana to the spotlight of college football, is a story that resonates with authenticity and inspiration. And in a sport where individualism often clashes with collective goals, Cawe embodies the perfect balance: a talented athlete whose contributions reverberate beyond himself, strengthening the team as a whole. As the Wildcats prepare for the 2026 season, fans can look to Cawe's return as a sign of optimism. With Will Stein at the helm and key players like him on the roster, Kentucky has a chance not only to compete, but also to evolve as a program. And who knows, maybe it'll be a long-range kick from Cawe that defines a critical game. Everyone can dream. Share your opinion in the comments.